Welcome to another episode of Backstage at BYU Idaho.
Hi, I'm Janalee Meeker. I am an online instructor at BYU Idaho. I'm also a teaching group leader of a family group. We all teach 400 level upper division family classes.
What really sparked our interest of asking you to be in our podcast was your presentation at the conference this past year called Disciple Leadership in the Online Classroom, Seeing the Big Picture. So, as our first question, we want to ask you, what is the big picture?
Seeing the big picture really is about systems. It's really understanding how we're all interconnected. So when I was in the presentation, I brought my Slinky because a Slinky is a really great tool when we talk about systems. So Nicole, maybe you can help me with this. When we talk about, or when we use a Slinky, tell me some of maybe the characteristics of a Slinky.
Bouncy.
So when I hold a Slinky in my hands and I move it back and forth, what does it do?
It kind of shifts back and forth.
Yeah, it kind of shifts back and forth. It can move. It's malleable. It's a device where all of the pieces are interconnected together. And so when we think of a system, we can kind of apply that to like a Slinky where all of the pieces are interconnected together. When we get a kink in our Slinky, it doesn't quite work the same, does it? It never operates quite the same. And so when we think about systems, it's the same kind of thing. One part of the system impacts the whole. So a couple of characteristics or concepts from family systems theory, which applies so well to organizational leadership and to our online classrooms, is that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. That when one part is impacted, it impacts the whole. That when our equilibrium is off a little, systems are stability seeking. And so when we think about the big picture and seeing our online classroom in kind of through a systems lens or with a systems perspective, we can kind of see what our part in that system is, what our students' part is, and how we're all working together on a common cause. One other thing that really stood out to me as I prepared the presentation was it had been just shortly after General Conference, and I really connected with Elder Pino's message when he talked about his son doing puzzles. And he said that his son would do puzzles, but he would get super frustrated because he would look at each individual piece and he couldn't figure out where it went in the puzzle. But until he could see the whole big picture and how each of those pieces are connected together, did he really begin to enjoy doing puzzles. And that's how systems is. It's a way that we can kind of look at things differently. So our goal in teaching a course, talking about disciple leadership and how that applies to the online classroom, is really a paradigm shift. It's really looking at things from a different perspective, seeing how we really are all connected together.
And so what are some of the ways that you or any other leader in the online community could help students or maybe other instructors to see this big picture of leadership?
That's a more difficult question to answer, because how do you take something? It's kind of like when you have the gospel and you want everybody to see things the way you see it. It kind of feels the same way to me with this message. It feels a little bit like I have this little piece of knowledge that's changed my life and I would love to share it, but it's something that we each have to kind of learn for ourselves. But I do always turn back to the Savior as an example, that He leads the way. And you know how He did it? He did it one by one. And so helping our students to see things this way, helping other instructors to see things through the systems lens, to realize how we really are all interconnected and how each piece matters. And I think that's the way that the Savior taught, was one by one. And when you look at his life and the kind of leader that he was, people were drawn to him. It was his quiet, simple, loving leadership that brought people to him. And when it comes to sharing the message, I don't know that I have a better answer other than it really is just one by one.
As you know, this podcast goes out to all of our online instructors, and everyone here at the home office as well. So is there anything else that you would like to say, any advice you would like to give, any messages for the online instructors?
The thing that's beautiful about understanding this theory, it's like having the gospel when you have something that you want to share because you know that it will bless someone's life. But it applies to so many areas of our lives, whether it's our family relationships, when we're stuck and we have something that's not right. We've got a kink in our system, and we're looking at it and we're trying to figure it out. Recognizing what our part in that is, and changing ourselves, changing that one piece can change the whole system. So it applies to our families, it applies to our callings, it applies to our work that we do and the people that we associate with. For me personally, understanding the theory has helped me to feel compassion for people, to understand that we're all a product of where we come from and the experiences that we have in life. And so that's my hope. I just hope that, sharing a little piece of what an extraordinary leader looks like. My family will tell you I've got a long ways to go, but I've had some good examples that I look to and that I try to emulate.
We are so grateful for the inspired thoughts that were shared with us today, and we challenge you to post your takeaways about your thoughts on the big picture in your teaching group or write a blog post in the community. Thank you for all that you do, instructors. Keep learning, keep uplifting.